Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. I recently pulled my barn find out of the barn and we're trying to restore it, resurrect it a little bit. Still not in running condition. The last video was just giving it a very thorough wash. And what we're going to be doing today is using some leather honey to recondition the leather and the black plastic. So let's get started. In my videos working on the car, I've learned that the leather honey, leather conditioner that you can get on Amazon for about 20 bucks actually works pretty well on the clear plastics as well as the black plastics and of course the leather that you'll find on several vehicles that you could possibly own. So this seat is 53 years old. This is a 1970 CL350, so she's 53, 54 years old. We're going to see what we can't do to this seat. I'm going to do half of it and give you guys a before and after. And then I'm going to be doing the same on, oh God, that instrument cluster looks great in the sun. Anyways, it's been several years since I've seen this girl. So we're going to go ahead and do the black around here and the clear plastic. And then, as I said, half the seat here, and I will show you the difference between them. And it will be quite noticeable. Basically with the plastic, while it is relatively scratch free, there's a little swirls from polishing and cleaning and all. The UV and sun damage and drying out of the plastics will start making it a little hazy. These are actually pretty decent, but we'll show you the before and after on those, and let's go ahead and get started on that. As I said, in my experience, this leather solution works pretty well on plastic. So I have rubbing alcohol on here. The previous video in this series is giving this thing a thorough wash. She's been in a barn for the last 5 years. I've owned it for 10, and 10 years ago she was purchased from a guy who had bought her and restored her and made her, well, made it running anyways, not restored it. But all that to say, we want the rubbing alcohol to break down all of that dirt and grime. To be fair, I'm going to do both of them. I'm only doing the right side of the bike with the solution so we can see how big of a difference it makes. But this is a rag that I continue reusing for the leather, and I don't want any of the grime and what appears to be dried car wax from getting on the reusable rag. So I'm going to give it a nice scrub mechanically and cleaning chemically with a compound that will evaporate if it hasn't already in the sun. So there are those. I would not recommend using rubbing alcohol on the leather seat. That's what we have there. This is essentially a sock worn by my kids. They fit into these sock sizes. I just keep it on the bottle. It's already pre-moistened. I mean, just a little dollop is all you need. Polish it. That's going to help get it into the plastic as well as act as a very mild sandpaper and polish away any of the larger oxidations and scratches and all. Go all the way around. Ooh. I don't know if you can tell at your angle. You'll have to trust me on this. I went around on the exterior black rim here, and I could already see some dry spots. But it was starting to soak in pretty well. So I'm going to do a couple revolutions there, some scrubbing action to get it up in there. That's really going to make the black pop. Go back up here. As this dries, I imagine it gets a little more and more viscous, and I'm going to use that to help polish it up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to let that soak. we're gonna go ahead and switch to the seat, and then I have a third location up front here that I will be using it on as well. In keeping with doing the right instrument cluster, I'm going to start doing the right side of the seat. You can see it's already pretty pronounced difference. It's going to start soaking in. I'm going to give it a little bit more in between is really soaking in. Give it a little bit more of this conditioner. This is a heavier material that's going to soak in more of the conditioner, and I'm trying to get into a less uniform surface. So before it was just a piece of plastic, pretty flat uniformly all the way across. This is going to have some highs and lows, stitching, stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I'm not just surface coating it. I want to saturate it so that it can start soaking in enough material to soak in and enough material to make contact, especially in these individual ribs. So we're going to start pretty heavy. Probably have to follow up a couple times with some thinner and thinner coatings as it absorbs more and more. But there's a pronounced difference in color between those two, as there should be. One could argue it's largely the addition of a compound onto very dry leather, and you would not be wrong. But we'll cut back in a couple minutes and see how well it's soaked in and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and switch you guys over to my side. We'll continue on the rest of the seats. Alright, so again, for the first time, you will want to make sure this seat is clean. This is happening directly after my previous video where I took a scrub brush to it and scrubbed the leather pretty good. So should be all right. This is not a one and done. The more often I do this, the more conditioning will happen and the better the seat will be, both on my ass and to my eyes. So I'm gonna be pretty heavy with this stuff this time. Maybe at the beginning and end of each season, do a thinner amount. We do want to do the bottom of the strap as well. That's going to be getting less UV and sun damage and heat exposure and all that, but you will be getting some. Just a small dollop. Do a large area. The more you polish it in circles, the more you're going to heat up the leather through friction and open up those pores and let it soak up and in. Man, really pops black against the orange. And I suppose I'm going to pick you up and move you right to here. We're going to do this half of the Honda. I'm being very gentle around the lettering. I imagine that's surface deep, so I don't want to polish it off. I'm getting my fingernails up under the rib here. Try and get as much of the surface as I can. So just by having the compound on there, it looks substantially better. The more it soaks in, the more it will last, I suppose. Speaking of last, the last thing we're going to do with the seat is pop it open and do the bottom of the seat like this. Again, less likely to experience UV damage and sun damage and stuff like that, but the rain is definitely going to try pulling up under here, so we're going to go ahead and treat all the way around. Now that we have a different angle on here, we can go ahead and re-rub everything back in. Okay. And we have one last place to try, which is going to be the fork tubes. So the fork tubes are a rubber, but still can oxidize, still can sun fade, still can degrade. So I figure with the waterproof-ishness of this material and the fact that it rehydrates plastic and leather, I imagine it won't do any damage to rubber either. You can tell with just a little bit of work, it's already looking real good. Hello, Nara. I'm gonna try and move a fingertip in between each one of the ribs. Just a simple push-pull, draw, and push. It's gonna get the majority of it. Look nicer, protect it better. Again, weather protection as well. Really make it pop, especially for its age. Okay. And I guess while we're here, let's go ahead and do the turn signals. They're going to oxidize and degrade, especially with a light bulb inside them, heating up and cooling down a little bit more than maybe the rest of the bike would. So we're just going to give that a little bit of a hand polish as well, make that pop a bit, and we'll do the back one as well. Okay, the last place we have, I'm going to attempt to do right down the center here. Start out pretty thick and then start swirling and polishing. Safety lights are only safe if they're working and easy to see, so at very least you're cleaning all the debris off of it. But also, the longer this sits, especially in the sun, the more it's going to soak in. It's already breaking up the old waxing compound, so you can already tell the difference between them. How's that showing up on camera? Not as well as in person. So that's what we have there. And we're going to let this sit for about 20-30 minutes, and I'll come back out and show you guys what the seat and everything look like. So again, this is before I go inside. We did this instrument cluster. You can actually see the reflection of the clouds and all off it. Beautiful. The right half of the seat, the right half of the brake light, turn signal, and fork tube, which you can't really contrast too well with the lighting conditions here, but substantially shinier and much more saturated looking than the very flatness of that. There's actually more reflection just on the edge there than the entirety of the tube. So definitely making a difference. Let's see how well it holds up once it all dries up. God damn, that looks great. So we are 50 minutes later because, well, life gets in the way. You can clearly see the difference in the seat there. Reflector looks great. I did go ahead and do this handle grip as well, so we'll compare that to that. Let's see. I mean, hard to say. I would say there's a little more slop, a little more squeeze give on this as the material is soaking in. Largely, you're going to see, let's swing around here. I would say, and I'm trying to get rid of the glare. I would say this one is much easier to see. It got rid of a lot of the swirling effects and stuff from the original, or from waxing it. So now I'm going to get a rag and we're going to wipe it off and smooth it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to go ahead and complete everything and we'll show you what that looks like. But as you it's kind of like a car wax. You put it on, it looks very hazy, right? It doesn't look like you did a good job, or you kind of scuffed up and damaged the paint until you wipe it off, and then it's going to look much better. So I will say, to me, this one seems a little more scratchy. Oh, thank you, sun. So the sun just went away, and I mean, these are 54-year-old instrument clusters. Incredible. But I would say this one just seems a lot clearer, and it has absorbed that material and gotten rid of the UV damage that's probably there. So let me go ahead and polish this one up and polish this up a little bit. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll complete the bike. So again, after wiping it down with the rag, I don't think it's going to show on camera, but it seems more clear. It seems to have a deeper depth to it than this one. Kind of weird to explain. But as we patrol around, the difference between the shock boot is very obvious. This is the reflection of that turn signal, and it's very easy to see, versus this one isn't reflecting anything. Not going to see too big of a difference on these. It's a colored plastic, so you probably won't see a pronounced difference there. Same here. And then the best I can show you on camera with this is it started breaking down a little bit of the old car waxing there, but I like this has it's almost a depth thing, so I feel like I can see deeper through the plastic. It doesn't really change the color too much, and of course none of this is going to show up on camera, but the biggest thing is the seat, which looks fantastic. So as you saw, it didn't take much. A couple of wax on, wax off kind of hand motions, and that's going to be hydrated better and withstand the wind and weather and UV and rain and all that much better. So with that, let's go ahead and finish her up. So I applied a first coat to this side, and you can already start seeing the reflection of the reflector, which is fantastic. I'm trying to see, I put it on the chrome here, and you can tell that is much less reflective than this is, the backside that I did not do. So I don't know, we'll see what it does. It could start softening up that rust, and I feel like it already is, because just by rubbing it with my finger, I feel like some of it's coming up. So we're going to experiment with that. We have nothing to lose. You can see this one is clearer than this one, a little hazier, and it's because this one we've actually polished off the haze almost again like car wax, but that's going to start working there. You can see a very good reflection here, and that's because around the black barrel here I did. We also went ahead and treated the black ooh, look at that, beautiful. The black handlebar here, as well as these plastics and these controls, which I did on this side as well. The sheen will go away, and you could just use a rag to start buffing it off. To me, the longer this stays on, especially since this has been admittedly neglected over 5 years, the longer I let this soak, the better it's going to be. But like even here, I feel like a lot of the smaller scratches have disappeared, and it is a smoother, clearer image for a 50-plus-year-old piece of plastic. But the seat is really the big selling point here. Looks fantastic. It's already starting to rehydrate. I can feel that it's more supple. The smaller amount of pressure is able to move it, whereas before, and again, it was in a neglected condition. It was less forgiving. This band had a bit of a memory to it. It's now starting to loosen up and allow me to bend it and readjust it, kind of thing. And then we also did our reflectors. So for me, and probably for you, once you apply this stuff, I would just go ahead and leave it in there, allow it to soak maybe a day later or so, come back in and hit it again. You can see a very clear, I can see a very clear reflection. Right there, you can see my fingers. What, half an inch away? And that's even on camera, let alone what I can see. I can see a reflection right here. Anyways, so definitely resurrects it, protects it, waterproofs it, UV protection, ices it, all the things. Not necessarily designed for it, but does. Oh God, that looks fantastic. This has been a good day, let me tell you. A wash, a wax, and very basic treatment has made all the black things pop, which on this old of a bike and with this old of a paint job, and especially an orange paint job, just really pops, really stands out. So next thing I'm going to do is probably put some gas in and see what she does. I'm pretty sure last time it started leaking. I'm pretty sure that is the gaskets and all in the petcock have dried up. So the more you subject, we're going to do that again. Look at that sheen. Oh, the more you subject it to gasoline, kind of like a sponge in your kitchen sink. When it's dry, it's very small, it's very shriveled. I use the sponge in the kitchen sink and not any kind of anatomical organ. But as it gets more moisture soaked into it, it will re-expand. It will return to its original shape. So same with the petcock and gaskets and all for the gasoline. They've been very, very dry for a very, very long time. Hopefully reintroducing small amounts of fluids will allow it to re-expand at least enough for it to seat, and toss a battery in it and see if she runs. So this is Outside the Target Demographic. I appreciate you guys coming along. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, leave them in the comments section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.